welcome to the second episode of the podcast Hostel. I'm your host, Milan Milutinovic. How you doing? Now, before I get into it, I just want to talk briefly about a project that I've kind of been cooking up in my brain for the past few weeks, past few months. If you go to serbianomads.com, you can learn more about it. I guess at the crux of it, the idea is to create a digital nomad conference here in Serbia and here in Niš in particular. I'm kind of looking at August 2024 as a potential time. And if you go to the site, you can sign up. There's a form there and you can stay in touch with us and we'll shoot through updates as they become available. So go to serbianomads.com. And the name of this episode is Building a Playground for Entrepreneurs, which is a phrase that comes from the conversation that I had with our guest, Uwe Allgäuer, where he described a co-working space, Coworking Bansko, which he co-founded. He described it as a playground for entrepreneurs. And this kind of got me thinking that, you know what, entrepreneurs really are kind of like children. They have to dream big and they have to follow their inspiration. And it's very important to put these children together, to let them play on a playground together. And so I'm very excited to present to you guys the very first interview for the podcast Hostel with Uwe Allgäuer. Hello and welcome to the podcast Hostel. I'm your host, Milan Milutinovic, and this is my very first guest, Uwe, and I've forgotten his last name. Come on, Uwe, introduce yourself.
Milan, thank you so much for having me. My name is Uwe Allgäuer, originally from Austria. Great to be here. So great. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you for
I'm
inviting me.
very happy to have you as our first guest.
Awesome.
I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is I think you've spent a lot of time in the Balkans. You're originally from Austria. And tell me about what drew you to the Balkans. When did you first come and visit this region?
Yeah, actually, this is a great question. Unfortunately, it's a long answer.
All right. We've got time.
Great. So I'm a sailor, I'm a skipper, and I love sailing and the sea. So it's just, I'm passionate about this. However, on one of the sailing trips, it was actually Co-boat. It was a Co-boat. The project was called Co-boat, and it was a sailboat made for nomads. And they planned to do sailing around the world with digital nomads and working and pleasure.
When was this Co-boat?
This was in 2014, and we sailed actually from the Maldives to Phuket.
Wow.
And it was my most adventurous sailing trip so far. The boat literally fell apart, and we had it wasn't amazing when you are there. It's amazing afterwards. We arrived all good, so everybody was healthy and happy. But during the trip, we had a machine failure. We ran out of fuel, and like in the middle of the night, there was a police boat, and they were pointing their guns at us. They took over the boat. It is quite a story.
Yeah.
However, on this boat is actually the first time when I met digital nomads. And Matthias was there as well.
You met Matthias on the boat.
Exactly.
Cool.
On this very sailing trip, on the first co-boat trip, so to say.
Right.
But we only delivered the boat from the Maldives to Phuket. They were supposed to actually fix the boat and make it ready to work with internet and stuff like this.
Right.
So for us, it was like...
so you couldn't work while you're on that... I mean, how long was that boat trip?
It was 17 days. I mean, in total, 18 days or so.
Right.
It was a huge adventure, man. It was a huge adventure.
Sounds amazing. But
it was also very team building, like, if that makes sense. Because, like in an adverse...
How many people were on this co-boat?
9 souls on board, yeah.
So it was just 9 people. So it's like a small...
so to say, small. Yeah, it was a huge boat, but only, it was not fully booked, so they didn't want to put too many people at once.
Yeah.
As this was not already finished for nomads, so to say, you couldn't work, you couldn't do anything. We just delivered the boat literally. However, like it was very close knit, and we came as strangers and we left as brothers and sisters.
Yeah. That's what I love about these.
Was amazing.
The nomad community. I feel like we didn't even really get a chance to meet in Bansko, but
that's right.
I've invited you to my house and we're having a lovely conversation. Yeah. That's kind of the connections that you can make.
Exactly.
In these conferences, and if you join the community, which I think is amazing. But yeah, bring me back to the Balkans. So the co-boating in the Balkans. You started in the Maldives. You said that's not quite in the Balkans, is it?
No, that's not. Anyways, but Matthias and I, we kept going. We, like the idea of opening a co-working space / co-living space was initiated on the boat. On this boat
that's
trip.
When
so
the
that was
hit.
The first start shot, so to say.
Amazing.
And then we were looking for houses and premises. However, sooner or later, a friend...
Was Bansko, were you immediately thinking about Bansko?
No.
Had you visited Bansko?
No. The Balkans were not... we were looking at Austria, but we couldn't get it going. Either the landlord or the premises, the house didn't fit, or this or that.
You couldn't find the right property for a co-living or a co-working?
Well, initially we looked for co-living.
Right.
However, a friend of ours, Jürgen, he then asked us, why don't you come to Bulgaria?
Yeah, right.
And Matthias and I, we were looking at each other. We both shrugged shoulders.
It's Bulgaria.
I'm ashamed to say, but we really had
Let
no
it out,
clue.
be honest,
We had no clue,
honestly. No, fair enough.
But then we looked at the map and we thought we are both skiers, so we like skiing,
Yeah, okay.
And then Bansko was, was on the map.
Yeah,
from that point onwards.
Right.
And then we said, okay, let's put the delegation together, and we put 6 people together. We traveled to Bansko.
Yeah.
And then we were there, and we are just, this Bansko vibe, this magic, we were just taken away. And I tell you something, everything fell in place. We just had to say yes. We put some cash on the table. We said yes.
Was it a lot of outlay in money-wise investment, or was it,
So, well, you can start the co-working space or let's say co-living space different ways. If you have a lot of money, you can make it shiny, and you can make all these glossy magazine photos and stuff like this. But that was not our intention. Our intention was bringing people together and start this together. We initially didn't want it to be to lead this or to manage this. We wanted just a bunch of people everybody chips in a little bit, but that didn't work out because nobody had the, how can I say, initiative to...
Yeah, somebody has to take that responsibility to plan shit, organize stuff. Is that...
Maybe it's that, or they were just too lazy, or too, I don't know. Maybe not even too lazy, but
so it wasn't an immediate success then, I guess, in Bansko?
No. It was immediate success because Matthias and I, we were totally convinced. We just put, okay, if they don't come with us, we do it ourselves. So we within a week in Bansko, we actually hired our community manager,
amazing,
Irina at that time. Within a week, we had no co-working space, nothing whatsoever.
But you had a community
we just hired her.
Boom, done.
And we said, okay, let's get this baby rolling.
And talk to me about when was that? What year are we talking here?
That is 2016.
2016, right? Because I've been to Bansko. Second time was this year, so I'm still kind of getting into the community and stuff. Before you came to Bansko, were there other nomads there kind of chilling, or that just wasn't a thing?
Zero. No, Bansko was not on the map.
Right.
So actually, and this was the biggest hurdle for us. How do you bring people to a location where there are no nomads?
Yes, exactly.
So first of all, we had to advertise Bansko, and we really... And I still love Bansko. I think it's an amazing place, And we thought if we like it, it's very likely that other people like it as well.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. And
it's an amazing place. I love Bansko.
You see,
personally.
Yeah. And and then we advertised, and Matthias had a big network. I have a big network.
Yeah.
And then we invited people. We said, hey, come on, come and visit us. Let's hang out. That was
back in 2016. I mean, we're talking 7 years now. So was the kind of digital nomad community smaller then? Was there, were there less people that are kind of doing this lifestyle? at that point? Or?
I mean, definitely it has been fewer, but but
but there was still
a lot.
Plenty of people doing it, right?
Chiang Mai, Bali. The people usually hung out in Asia. A lot of Americans and so we put Bansko on the map, and then they started to recognize it. And we had so many awesome summers, Milan. We had, but really hearty, really nice. We hung out with people. I mean, you have guitars here. We had jam sessions. We did,
it's amazing.
It was just,
I can imagine.
It was. On one hand, it was hilarious because, you meet nomads, you meet people you haven't seen in your life before.
Yeah.
But then you come together, you hang out, and suddenly they are like, you have such a deep connection.
Yeah, there's an instant kind of bond because you're kind of on the same path and you're kind of a little bit out of mainstream society, I guess. So once you find each other, it's like, yo, what's up, dude? Like, how you doing, babe? Come stay at my house. Let's jump on a podcast. Let's do it. We can do anything. Why not?
But this is exactly how it happens. I don't know. For me, sometimes it's strange to explain this bond. I have long-term friends. People I was in the kindergarten with. I don't have such a strong bond to them. Then I have to some people I know since a couple of weeks or something.
I know what you mean.
It's kind of frightening to me sometimes. That's strange.
I think it's just that it's when you have something like the Bansko Nomad conference and stuff, it's kind of, you're putting people together that are in the same mindset, in the same headspace, and they're kind of ready to connect with other people. And so everyone kind of opens their heart a little bit. And I just think it's amazing. This podcast was inspired by the second trip to Bansko. I was like,
amazing.
Well, let's do Serbia Nomad Fest. Let's go.
Amazing, man.
That's kind of how.
Let's do that.
That's why we're here, Uwe. What's up, baby?
Amazing, man. I'm excited.
So I guess that's the plan behind this podcast. I'm going to be going around interviewing founders like Uwe, other people that have been involved building a community from the ground up, because I want to do that here in Serbia and in Niš. This is where I live. I think this place has a lot of potential. It's just I'm kind of the only permanent digital nomad here. And
well, you make it work, this is how it works, right?
This is part of the journey, man.
No, I love Niš. I travel through, so every year I visit Austria, Switzerland and France and whatnot, So I travel through here every year since 6 years at least, And I love Niš. It's a nice place. I can imagine. I'm really happy, actually. I'm excited about this, to hear that there will be a new nomad community here
thank you.
soon. So
thank you. This
is awesome.
This is what we're building, come.
Great.
And talk to me about, so when you came to Bansko, it was 2016, and so it was the co-working and the co-living. When did the idea of a conference come into being? Because that's been around, the fourth one was this year, so it's still kind of, it took a few years to get that going, right?
So the thing is, in the beginning, the first year was really tough. So we had, I think, around 15 members or something like this.
15,
in
maybe, the co-working.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so it was just very small.
Maybe 15, 20.
Right.
Second year a bit bigger. But also we didn't understand exactly, because we thought Bansko is a winter destination.
Right.
And for us, skiing was kind of important,
Right.
So we thought it took us actually 3 years to figure out that our main season is actually summer, because nomads, they don't have big jackets, thick jackets. So
totally.
and they always came in summer, it took us a while to.
It's funny because Bansko is famous for being a winter tourist destination, but in summer is when the nomads. Because all the people that I speak to here, all the Niš locals, they're like, I'm going to Bansko. Like, why are you going in summer? It's like, I'm like, no, but that's when the nomads go.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, you going skiing? I'm like, I don't ski. Like, I don't care about that.
Exactly.
And they're like, what are you doing in Bansko? I'm like, it's amazing. Trust me. I'm going to bring it here. It's going to be amazing. Just watch. Yeah.
So it took us a while to understand, but then in the third year is where things really took off.
Right.
So we had.
Why? What was what would you ascribe that to?
I think, it takes time to spread the word.
Yeah.
But then also, Matthias and I, when we started, we visited a lot of co-working spaces, so we knew what the co-working space is.
Yeah.
But we never run a co-working space.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and we thought, like a table, a chair, and Wi-Fi, how complicated can it be, right? We figured it's a bit more complicated than that.
Right.
But
well, what were some of those kind of hurdles that you faced in the beginning for anyone watching? Because I'm assuming people that are building co-workings would be.
Absolutely. So one of the things is, there's it's always the details. So you have to be really particular with the details. So for us, we loved the nomad crowd, and we knew, because we lived also the same lifestyle, so we knew what those people want, what they need, and we understood that very, very well.
Yeah.
And I think we delivered that very well.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing, because when you arrive in Bansko, you feel home.
Yeah.
You feel, part of the community already.
Yeah.
And this is something you have to establish, this environment. You have to establish, Did
it not feel that way when you started?
No, it was empty. There was no nomad. In summer, actually, Bansko was dead. It's a winter ski area.
Yeah, but bringing back to the point of when you said in the third year, that was when things really started to become kind of what they are today. And you said you started the co-working, but you didn't know what you were doing. You threw in some chairs, you had running internet, but what did you need to put in that co-working to make it a success?
So for us, it's, the working environment was very important to us. Yeah. So having proper chairs, the table, I designed the tables. Nice. and they are custom made,
Yeah, beautiful.
And so you have really comfy chairs to you can work 8 hours there and you
feel good
nothing will hurt, you will be fine,
Yeah.
But then the element of, I don't want to say fun, but in a small town, there is not so many things you can do. If you go to a major city, you want to work, but then you want to enjoy life differently.
Yeah.
So we had to actually offer something, because the town wasn't offering it. So then we did a lot of...
Because the town was dead during summer. There's all the touristy stuff they would do in winter. It's just shut, because it's not in season.
And even restaurants shut down. So it was actually hard to get around.
So you didn't have the infrastructure, kind of.
No, and only recently, maybe since 2 years, we have a lot more restaurants, first of all. And secondly, a lot more restaurants are actually open in summer. They did not used to be open in summer,
Would you credit some of that to Bansko Nomad Fest, because they're hey, we've got tourists now in summer and stuff, and
definitely we brought a lot of people in, but then we understood we need to deliver something so that the people have a great time, so that they enjoy themselves. Many times I have heard, Uwe, this is the best co-working space in the world.
Wow.
And that's a tough, okay, that's nice, but that's a tough one, because how can you get better? If somebody says, this is great, it's a tough one, But the best compliments I got is from the people who said, Uwe, this is a place where I can be myself.
Yes.
And that's the compliment actually I was looking for.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Creating this environment where people can really,
connect, be yourself, be accepted. And I think a lot of nomads, maybe you feel a bit disconnected from mainstream society. I felt that at times. And I don't know, just the kind of international traveling community and stuff. I used to always love going to hostels and just meeting backpackers. That for me was, I just had the best, funnest time. The summers I had, Uwe. And that's why I've called the podcast Hostel. That's the name of the hostel, the name of the podcast, because I wanted to put that hostel energy into it. And I guess a co-working and a co-living, it's kind of like a hostel for more professional people that are actually working and stuff. And kind of.
I like the idea. I agree, but I like the idea of as a adult playground or a playground for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You know, like you come together, you get your stuff done, you know, but then also you hang out with like-minded people, you elevate, you know, like a community is so important because you elevate yourself, you know, the people you surround yourself with. This is amazing, you know, like there are solutions and options and possibilities for your business. You haven't even stretched.
No, you haven't. And I mean, that's what I loved in Bansko when I was there like a few weeks ago. I just had quality conversations like this. This is a quality conversation. Absolutely. You don't have conversations like this every day, unfortunately. But like I had, we could talk every day, Uwe, if you want. No, I just had a lot of quality conversations with people, and they tell me about their business plans or what they're doing with their lives, and I explain mine, and I just felt inspired, and I felt that not only inspired for my own kind of ideas and dreams, but that I was able to help other people on their path from my experience, and it was really truly a sharing of knowledge and everything. And I mean, if I didn't go, I wonder if we'd be having this podcast right now, because it kind of gave me that kick to say, you know what, you can do it, Milan. Like, look at what they've done. That's amazing. Absolutely. But, you know, there's a story behind that. You started with 15 people for the first year and stuff, you know, and
absolutely,
you didn't really know what you're doing either. I don't really know how to do this, but you can do anything, you know, just dream big and just work hard.
Absolutely.
You know, you can do
I mean, get started, you know, like, and this is the most important thing, you know, get the word out, get started, and people will come, you know. If you like it, there is a chance that other people like it too. And for me, you know, like to actually bring this a little bit in, you know, the culture you create.
Yes.
This is the most important thing.
I agree with you, yes.
You know, we created this openness and also sharing. We shared a lot, you know, like, whatever maybe we bought a cake or something like this, you know, like, and then people were also generous. They also, you know, like if you create this culture and this openness, and I call this the co-working moments actually. So, you know, like when people work on a table, like, I don't know, 8 people or something like this, and then they started to chat, you know, and at some point somebody will maybe share his, I don't know, his business and how he did things and so on and so forth. And then maybe 3 of the people who sit on the table, they would go, you actually just solved my business problem.
Yeah, right.
And this is this serendipitous moments.
Yeah.
And if you understand to provide this fertile ground for serendipity to happen, then, you know, like, everything is possible, you know. Like, and I love those. This was
we're on the same track, you. I love what you've done. Great inspiration for me. So it's the first episode. What a quality guest of it. That's amazing. Like I feel great about it. I really do. I just wanted to ask you as well. So I mean, you're involved deeply with Coworking Bansko. Have you visited many other co-working spaces?
Yeah.
Digital Nomad spots? Are there any you could say are favorites of yours you'd recommend to people that?
Yeah, lots. I mean, so the thing is, you know, like, I love the Digital Nomad community, the crowd, you know, the people. I learned so many things, and, you know, like having this lifestyle focus versus having a job focus.
Yes.
And I think, you know, like those kind of things, it turns the world around, you know, like
100%.
And so I traveled the world. I love traveling. I'm a traveler. You know, especially. And then, you know, like when I found out, these nomads, they are so cool, you know, I want to be amongst them. I want to dig in. I want to get more, you know. But then I found out I cannot travel 12 months a year. This is not for me.
No,
so
it's too
living
much.
Out of a suitcase is not my life.
No.
So then I thought, how can I fix my problem being amongst these people, but without the need for travel?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. This is why I want to bring you here.
Exactly.
So you haven't really, have you traveled much to many other nomad communities? Or
yes, yeah.
Are there any that you like?
I mean, Chiang Mai is one of the things I really love. Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
I love the city, and I love Thailand. And in Thailand, you know, like there's lots of islands. I mean, there's plenty of co-working spaces. You can go to wherever there's a co-working space.
I think I'm the only Australian that never been to Thailand.
Oh, is it? I can highly recommend. It's really great. You know?
I will at some point for sure. It's. I mean, I'm planning on, for this podcast, I'm planning on traveling all over the world and interviewing founders and just talking about how to create communities because I just think that would be great.
Absolutely. So, but I have also been to Spain, in Javea, the Sun & Co. I can highly recommend.
Okay. Where was that, sorry?
Javea in Spain.
Javea. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a small little village. Like Bansko, but Spanish.
Yeah, but that's cool.
No skiing. No skiing.
Havea. All right, I'll check it out. It's not on my radar.
Sun & Co. Yeah, I can highly recommend.
Okay.
And then of course Portugal and Bali and whatnot. Like where the digital nomad hotspots are. So I have been to a couple of them. I've been to a lot of co-working spaces. I mean, if you start a space yourself, I think it's very important to go to the spaces, to visit them, to be like to come as a client, and then figure out, okay, this is like that, and so on and so forth. And then you figure out, okay, the things you don't like, and then okay, where you need to put pressure in order to make it better.
Exactly.
Not better, but to your liking,
Yeah, to execute that dream that you have.
Exactly.
Let me see. So what do you feel about, Niche as a future nomad destination? Can you see that vision in your mind, Uwe? What do you think?
So I like it. I like it for two reasons. Many co-working or co-living spaces focus on the capital city or on big cities.
Yeah.
I am not fond of big cities per se.
I'm with you.
And Niche, I think, is such a lovely place, I would like to explore it more.
Yeah.
And I would love to see your community growing here. I think it's an amazing place. It's not that far from Bansko either.
No, we're kind of on the same track as well,
Exactly. So, and I think, we talked earlier. You said an airport is close by.
Yes.
So, and I think that helps a lot.
For sure. You got direct flights from Vienna, from Malmo, from I think Athens. You have from Basel. That's how I'm getting to Switzerland. Just jumping on that plane.
Awesome.
Boom, return flight, like 90 euros. I'm like, damn.
Awesome.
I'm down.
Yeah, and it's still like from the size, maybe it reminds me to Chiang Mai, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
So I think it's the perfect size. It's the city.
It could be Serbia's Chiang Mai.
Exactly, man. It's a good start.
You're a fun red. I like you. I like
awesome.
you a lot. All right. What else have I got? Yeah, talk to me about, you were saying this this community co-housing village that you're building. That's in Bansko as well. That's a new project that you're getting involved in. What's the deal with that?
That's right. So for me, I love co-living. So I think co-living is great.
Yeah.
However, co-living usually is aimed at people who start off freshly. So people who want to have their burn rate a bit lower, who don't want to have much expenditures. So maybe in a co-living you share also a bathroom or something like this.
Right.
And I think, there are people who have no problems with that, and they like that, So, but I think what is the next level of co-living? And I think for me, I call it co-housing.
Right.
So rather than sharing a room, you share a compound, but you have your own house.
That's the ideal. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you on that.
Exactly.
Too. Like, I'm happy to share a room for a little bit, but I wouldn't want to live like that. Like, yeah, that's because when I see what you're building, I'm like, oh man, we're on the same track. Like, that's exactly all that I'm about. And I mean, is that project, this is still just an idea, or is like, how far along are you?
It's still in the concept phase. So there is a manifesto, there's a white paper right now.
Yeah. I checked that out. I'll link that in the description or wherever we throw this out. We'll send that amongst the people.
Thank you very much, man. And so the idea is to do this in the Balkan region.
Yeah.
I'm also a real estate investor, so I know quite a bit about Bulgaria. Okay. Bulgaria is an amazing place also in terms of business-wise. So it's easy and very affordable to establish a business. Also in terms of taxes, one of the lowest tax rates in Europe. So a lot of things come together in Bulgaria.
Yeah, you have your own, I saw you have like a consultancy firm or something to help people move to Bulgaria.
Exactly.
MyStartBulgaria.com, just a little
plug.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Check it out. Uwe can help you move to Bulgaria, man.
Absolutely. So I help people with residency service and company information.
Right. And you've invested in real estate in Bulgaria yourself personally.
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
And I think, it's about, I don't know whether you have heard about Game B theory, but Game B theory is about, a whole, a holistic view on the world.
Right.
So where instead of you have a developer who earns a lot of money, and then sells you a house that you may or may not be very happy with.
Yeah.
I want to involve the community to build this together.
Yeah.
So community first, and then what does the community need?
What do we want? How do we want to live together?
Exactly.
So the community comes before the kind of compound.
Exactly.
Or whatever, right?
So
how big you reckon this compound would be? Like how many people are you thinking? Like how many rooms? Are we talking like 100 people? Or
Great question. So I found actually a plot with 20,000 square meters.
Okay.
And I want to...
so that's pretty big, right?
That's big, yeah. And I aim for 50 units, starting with 15, then scale up to 30 and 50 max. So that's the idea.
You kind of build it as you go. And is that, what location, have you got a location planned or are you still searching?
So I found a plot. Whether this will be the final plot or I don't know.
Yeah.
However, Bulgaria, I also want to have fresh water. The plot I found has actually access to hot springs, natural hot springs water, which is a absolute bonus, But as I said, at the moment I'm checking out, but I want to have fresh water. I want to have water recycling. I want to be completely autonomous, regenerative.
Yeah, you want to be off that grid. I saw it's like, all renewable energy. We're not involved. Like we have our own thing going on.
Exactly.
Which I think is amazing. Like if you can get that going, that's
absolutely,
it's utopian, but it's, But it is utopian. But I saw in the article that you linked as well. You said there are 3 common issues. What were they?
Usually, it's a lack of expertise.
Yeah.
And there are other common problems. Like if it's not planned well.
Yeah.
And like the financials is definitely something that is a common problem.
Well, talk to me about that actually. So let's say you have 50 units on this big plot of land. How much am I buying a unit from you as a nomad, or am I renting from you? Is it kind of like, what's the deal?
So as I said, I want to start this from a holistic point of view.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to help you to exit the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So if you would buy a house in Austria or Switzerland or Germany, for instance, you have most likely a mortgage and you pay back for 30 years.
Yeah.
But if we build like housing in the Balkan region, it becomes much more affordable to the price of a tiny house, but with the community house already included.
Yeah.
So not only you will own your own house, you will own your own plot, but you also contribute a share towards the big community building where we do yoga, meditation, cooking and whatnot,
Yeah.
But for the price of otherwise a tiny house, what a tiny house would cost in Austria, for instance.
So what, like 50,000 euros, something like that?
It will a little bit more, but
still very affordable.
I aim to build 80, 100 and 120 square meter living spaces. So it will not be tiny houses,
right?
But the financials will be comparable to tiny houses,
Right.
And I think we can do it for 1,000 euros per square meter of living space.
Like near some towns? Like would it be in a town that's already there, or is it like straight up in the middle of nowhere? And it's like boom, we're off the grid. Like what's the go there?
It will not be in Bansko because Bansko is a bit tricky with or building codes and getting permits and so on and so forth. But the surrounding area I think is amazing. I don't want to be too far off the grid. I want to have a town or something close by.
Yeah, because people need to buy groceries and stuff like that.
Exactly. But also, later on, we might have community cars and scooters or bikes and so on and so forth. So it's not a problem to get around, And in any case, I want to make it as self-sufficient as possible. So I want to employ a gardener, for instance, grow our own food, so that most of the groceries you don't need to buy because we can grow it ourselves.
That's amazing. And so what's I guess, because it's still in the, theory planning stages, what's your next step? What do you need?
So actually, I just came back from Tallinn. I was at the Mind Valley University. So I don't know whether you know this event.
No, what's Mind Valley University?
Mind Valley is a platform for personal development.
Okay.
And I actually there was an unconference. I held an unconference session, and I spread the idea, and I came back with 18 people who are actually interested in, they want to chip in or either be part of this community or invest into this housing.
That was a Mind Valley conference, you said.
Exactly.
Right, cool, very cool.
And so I can see there is an urge. People want this. And you can see wherever you look, it doesn't matter. Europe, Asia, South America, this kind of community is popping up like mushrooms everywhere.
Yeah, I think this is why it's utopian in a sense. Like, to me, that seems like the ideal way to live.
Well, utopian in a way, but it's actually reality. People are building this. It's really not happening. As utopian as it seems to be. It's really in a reach. It's in arm's reach. No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I'm very excited to see how that develops as well. So
me too, man.
We're going to have to stay in touch off of this podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Uwe Sailor, you're a sailor, and you have the Nomad Sailing Retreat. Tell me about that.
Exactly. So sailing is my passion, and this is how Coworking Bansko got started initially anyways. I got to know Matthias on a sailing trip, and I just love sailing. Sailing is my passion. It's amazing. The water and the sea, self-propelling, put up a sail. It's just, it's something that is really close to my heart. Yeah. And, what is even better than sailing is to invite your friends and take them on a sailing trip and make a sailing team within a week. So that's the idea. So I organize sailing trips for digital nomads, for entrepreneurs, for like-minded people. And we just share the cost. We charter a boat and we go out sailing. Usually it's the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. So Croatia is amazing, for instance. Greece has lots of amazing islands. Yeah. And in Greece the waters are so clear. Sometimes you look at the boat and you think it's levitating in the air. It's amazing. That's amazing. And also
you've got
Italy.
You got one coming up this year, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not so prepared this year. So it will be on short notice. Definitely there will be something.
Okay.
Most likely September, mid-end September or beginning of October. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very cool.
So hit me up if anyone is interested. Just shoot me a message. And
we'll put all these links in the description.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah.
I got one other question for you, Uwe. This whole digital nomad community and everything, I mean, that wasn't around in the 60s. Like, when did this start? Do you know? Like, were you around in the beginning? I guess you kicked off your journey in 2014, you said? That was
Coboat.
Exactly. Before Coboat, like, was the term digital nomad, you were like, yeah, I know what that is. I guess I'm one, or like what? Talk to me about that.
Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So when I joined the Coboat trip, to deliver this boat, I had no idea about digital nomads.
Right.
And I was told, okay, this is a trip for digital nomads.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I Googled the term digital nomad. And then I read about it, and I'm like, man, this is a hype. Yeah. In 2 years, people will have forgotten about this.
Really?
Yeah, really? This is why, honestly, that were my initial thoughts.
Crazy.
But then I met these people and I was like, man, this is amazing. It really opened my eyes. I learned so many things. I'm a real estate manager, so I'm a businessman, but I never thought I can do this remotely. Yeah. It never occurred to me.
It wasn't even, that little switch didn't go off.
Exactly.
In your brain. Yeah.
But as soon as I met digital nomads, I found out, hey, actually, maybe I can run this remotely, and maybe actually I can live this lifestyle in a way.
Right.
Although I don't like to live out of my suitcase.
Yeah.
But I love this idea of running things remotely.
Yeah, I don't think being a digital nomad means you've got to change destinations every 2 weeks and travel 50 countries a year. Like, that's just not... That's not even...
It's not me, for sure.
No, that's, no one can do that. Really.
Some people do.
Okay, well, I don't want to do that either. So I guess before you were a digital nomad, you were in real estate, you were saying. You were a manager for...
I was... I'm most of my life I worked for corporates.
This was in Austria.
In Austria, well, actually, I worked as a development aid worker in Zimbabwe.
Okay. Cool.
I worked I lived in London for a while and worked there for a corporation. So I did a lot of different things.
For a while.
I liked to do different things.
Yeah.
I'm not the person who has a job for life or something like this.
No.
But then
I think very few digital nomads. I think we're in agreement here, and I think a lot of our people are like this.
That's right. But then I realized, like, okay, so if I change my lifestyle, I actually, so, and this is the important thing, actually. I found, at least for me, if you look at the lifestyle, the lifestyle you would like to have, then you look, okay, so if I want this, how much do I need to support this lifestyle?
Yes.
And then you may figure out, hey, actually to live this lifestyle, it doesn't take so much.
Yeah.
And therefore, you either work less or you find a job that is actually not a job, but a passion of yours.
Yeah.
And I like this approach, like,
yeah, I agree with you.
What lifestyle do you like, and how can you support that lifestyle?
Yes.
And I don't believe in pension or something. I believe.
No, I don't know either.
If you like to do something, why stopping at some point? No,
and I think you can kind of slowly start dying when you retire. It's like your brain just slowly turns to mush. Like you need to keep building and to keep growing. And work should be fulfilling. Like the work that you do should fulfill you. Like this podcast that we're doing, I'm feeling good about it. This isn't like someone's whipping me, making me do it. No, this is for my soul. I'm creating something of value, hopefully sharing something of value.
Absolutely. And hopefully it's purposeful. And I think it is, you share it with other people, and you share excitement, you share your passion. And and I think, that's all about,
Exactly. Maybe we can have, I guess, some final thoughts. If there's anything you want to ask me, Uwe, I'll turn the tables around on you.
I see all these guitars hanging around. I think there's a story to that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Australia originally, but both of my parents are from Niš. So this house that we're recording in, this is my grandpa's old house. And this is how I ended up in Niš. I just thought I'd come and visit Serbia. I didn't plan.
But you grew up in Australia?
In Australia, yeah. But
how did that happen? So both your parents are from here?
Both my parents are from here, but then they migrated before the war in about 1989 or so.
See.
And then at home we always spoke Serbian, so I have that, and I always had the citizenship, which they thought you're in Australia, it's a much better country. Why would you move to Serbia? But my mum got it for me. She thought, well, you never know, and in the end, it made the move for me here very easy, no visa, none of that bullshit.
Awesome.
I'm just have an ID and whatever. And when I was in Australia, I was a touring musician, released about 4 albums. The name of the band is The New Savages. We're on Spotify and YouTube. Check that out as well. But that's kind of an older project that I've kind of laid to rest. But and then I just thought, I've traveled all around Australia playing music and stuff and having amazing experiences and whatever. But I thought it's kind of far away. I want to check out Europe, and I always thought, I want to kind of get to know Serbia a bit more. I didn't see myself living in Serbia. Definitely not in Niš. I feel like Niš is so off the beaten track. It's just Belgrade or Novi Sad. I'm like, nah, I'm from Niš, dude. South side Serbia, homie, what's up? Like that. I was like, I just thought, just give it a chance. And there's this house that just was laying abandoned. And I thought, this is a big house. We can create something here, like
Absolutely.
a creative space or something. I mean, this is a creative thing that we're doing now, and we can do all kinds of stuff here if we just slowly keep building it and everything. So that's kind of the plan. And next year, I want to do that Serbia Nomad Fest, kind of really taking Bansko as direct inspiration. I've actually only been to 3 Nomad conferences. 2 of them were Bansko last year and this year, and Tirana Nomad Fest in Albania, which was also great. Yeah. And then I'll be going to Swiss Nomad Fest. So, I mean, I'm just going to go to as many conferences, as many co-livings, co-workings, just to try and create Niš to be as great as it can be and put it on the map, like you put Bansko on the map. Like, it's so inspiring to hear you say, yeah, there wasn't really that much before you and Matthias turn around and say, yeah, you know what, we're going to do it. And that's kind of all it takes. Just like have that vision, like you can do.
Absolutely.
That,
I cross fingers for you, man. But we also should cherish the Balkans, and maybe we should not make too much noise about it because it's so nice.
Just keep it on the down low. Keep it on the down low. One thing. Look, I just want at least some other nomads in Niš.
Sure,
right? I'm the only one, right?
No.
I just want a couple cool people around me. One thing I wanted to also ask you about, which I kind of forgot to mention earlier, was I guess for me, because I'm kind of, a digital nomad, but I'm also Serbian, I kind of really want to try and integrate Serbians with the nomads, because I feel like nomads can offer a lot of great business advice to locals. They can serve it, they can hire like the locals and stuff, because in a region like Niš, like there is kind of an economic depression. There is a mindset here that you can't do anything in Niš or whatever in this region. You have to go to Austria, or you have to go to Germany. You have to go. I'm from Australia. Like, why would you ever come here from Australia? Like, if we can open their minds a little bit, and I think if we connect those two communities somehow, that, could be amazing.
Absolutely. And I think, so one of the things, of course, things usually start slowly, but it depends, if nomads are already around here, it might be easier for you than you think, you never know.
Because when you started, were there nomads in the Balkans at all? Or was the Balkans not a nomadic destination?
Maybe there were a few in Albania, maybe a few in Montenegro, but definitely Bulgaria was not a nomad destination. Not per se, no.
And you were like, what's Bulgaria? You didn't even know. Which I loved, but then you saw it and you saw the potential and you built something amazing, and that's the...
Hey man, a magical place is a magical place, You cannot deny that.
Magical place. All right, well, should we leave it at that? I think we've got
Thank you so much, Milan. It was my absolute pleasure.
Me too. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Take it easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for Uwe, I wanted to sing a sea shanty. And the only one that could come to mind for me was this song. I was reading up about it. This song is actually over 100 years old. It's originally published in 1916. And it comes from the Bahamas. It's kind of a Caribbean sea shanty. But I know this song because of the Beach Boys. They released a very famous version of this song on their most famous album, Pet Sounds, released in 1966. And that album, Paul McCartney always said, was his favorite album of all time. So it's got to mean something. And I want to sing this little sea shanty for you guys. We come on the sloop John B., my friend Uwe and me. Around Bansko town we did roam, drinking all night, got into a fight, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. First mate, he got drunk and broke in the captain's trunk. The constable had to come and take him away. Sheriff John Stone, why don't you leave me alone? Yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. Poor cook, he caught the fits and threw away all my grits. And then he took and he ate up all of my corn. Let me go home. Why don't you let me go home? Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. Hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let